Hi, it's Monday. So, the plan was to read from Tiana LeBeau today. And while I may still get to that, depending on how we go from here, um, really, really happy to actually sit and have a little bit of a discussion. Forgive me, I'm going to fix the frame a little bit better. Okay, so something that somebody asked me. I was in a chat in a group on Facebook and we were discussing accomplishments, and it was I was it was I listed the things that I've been able to get done while my children are on break, on vacation. And I realized, this is one of those list your wins, list the things you've accomplished. So I did. And if you know me, my most distracted time when it comes to work is while my kids are home, because I'm one of those parents that I love to talk to my kids. I like playing video games with my son when I get the chance to. I love listening to my daughter tell stories and write stories and draw, and she is just so talented, and he is just so incredible. And so when they're around, it's very easy for me to get sucked into their world. And then I've got my niece and nephew on and off throughout this vacation when my sister was working, and then I of course all my son's friends that keep coming over. It's been a busy couple weeks. And even as we're coming to an end, I can honestly say I've got quite a bit done. Finished a series of covers for prepared marketing images, finished marketing plan for the next month, started working out revisions, and then started working on the next pre-order I got to get ready. So there's been a lot of progress, despite having all the reason to be distracted. And I'm really, really quite proud of that. And I thought it might be helpful to discuss how I was able to go about accomplishing this. And the easiest way is that one, I talk to you twice a week. It's motivation to stay on task, and I thank you for that. Two, my children, since they were very little, because I started this, my daughter was 4. My first book was published 5. She was about 5 when it went live. It's been 10 years. Anyway, sorry, time flies. My heart is doing the I can't believe it's been 10 years thing. I love what I do. So my kids have been taught right from the beginning mommy's working. And then we work out a time so that they know I'm going to get up in a window. And when my daughter was very little, before she entered school, we would set a timer based on either an educational game she was playing, or reading a book, or the TV show. Not to say that she wasn't a 5-year-old who would come in, hey, look, mommy, my thumb is swollen. And it's a balloon the size of her head attached to her thumb. It was hilarious. But by getting us used to timers and routines and plans, and no, I'm not the most faithful routine person, but when it comes to getting things done, those things tend to stay in line. And as we would go through, it became easier and easier for the fact that I worked from home and I worked to be available to them. The great thing about working from home is that when I was needed at the school, I would get a phone call, I'd drop what I'm doing, and I would be there. Because always, number one, I'm a mom. Number two, I'm a provider by necessity. And so that I take those steps. So, getting stuff done this week. What strategies did we use? Well, during work hours, my work hours, my daughter often sat next to me and we would chit chat while I was working on the marketing stuff. What's really fun is that as she's gotten older, she's been paying attention, so she often has fun questions. Um, and while we didn't have a whole lot of those this week, we've had times when I've tried to explain to her what I was doing so she wasn't completely lost about what she's looking at, and she'd ask me a question. I go, oh, I don't know why I'm doing that. We should try it differently. I love that because children just have a different perspective. Really, anybody does. But the fact that she was willing to hear out the whole process and stand over my shoulder in the first place really has been a boon for getting certain things moving in a great direction. And I will always be grateful to her for that. But part of that is, having her around and having her interest in this industry and her fresh perspective. It's a wonderful combination. We didn't run into that this week, but she would sit with me during the week while I was working on marketing um, or covers. And I've always involved them on covers because if something doesn't look right, you want an honest answer, go to a child. They will tell you, no, mommy, that's awful. My kids try to say it a lot nicer than that. No, mom, I wouldn't buy that. I wouldn't look at that, mom. Or that looks like a poster. I've gotten that once or twice. Those are good things. Um, so those are fun conversations. Those are great blessings and rewards to have available um, from them. And that's a benefit to having them involved. So that's step one. I involve my kids where I can. Step two is in the areas that I can't. For example, when I'm trying to do a live stream, I keep them busy doing other things, or they keep themselves busy doing other things. So we discuss it, just like we did when they were little. Okay, I am going to do this live. I might be here for a few minutes. I might be here for longer than that. Just be aware and keep doing whatever it is that we had discussed needing to get done, or if they didn't have to get anything done, which was plenty of days, then it was play video games and do whatever you feel like. And that was really beneficial for us. That really helped us out because they enjoyed their time and we made sure we had time together. So that was another asset that we had. The last thing that I found seems to work with almost everything except with actually actively writing is to adjust my schedule to when things are quieter. So that, yes, means, like I've always done, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and start working. I slept in a little bit some of this month, this vacation. I got up at 6. Kind of changed things just a little bit because they're used to being up early. My kids were generally, especially my daughter, up by 8. So I didn't have quite as much time as I usually did in the mornings. But by doing each of these things, I was able to still get production and positive and forward motion out of my efforts. And now we're into the new year. We're on a really good path. So that's what I've done. That's what I do. And I've done with my family. Good morning, Rachel. How are you? So what do you do when you've got distractions? How do you continue to maintain a positive flow for production, for work, for your business? If anyone else is just lurking, feel free to say hi. Uh, kind of shared what I'm going to discuss. So, keeping my family involved in the process and keeping them aware of when we need quiet time, when we don't, and when we're working together and when we're not. And it seems to really be beneficial and productive for us and for me. What are you doing? How are you staying productive? And what are your biggest distractions? Give me one sec. Writing is such a refreshment. So I'm glad that to hear it's helping you get into better. Yeah, writing is my favorite sanity tool. It's really really helpful. Good distraction from whatever is driving you nuts. At least for me. Yeah, that's a good assessment, Rachel. A very productive assessment, a productive distraction. Um, Going forward, I was talking to some of my fellow authors and my friends, and I've decided going forward that I will be discussing writing on Mondays at 9 a.m. And on Fridays during our talk at 9 a.m., I'm going to discuss reading books that I can read excerpts from, or a book that maybe we'll pick a book of the month going starting in February, and those following along we can do a little bit of it each week and talk a little bit about it. Um, totally excited by the prospect of doing something like that. If you are up for that, then please feel free to let me know in the comments or in the in the chat. If you'd like to have your some of your work read out to the audience, let me know. I'm absolutely happy to try to settle some time and get your bring your stuff out as well. I am actually about to call the live done for now until Friday, as my house is still full. But I am hoping that by doing a little bit of reading each week, we can discuss the writing and stories and our goals for our own writing and just continue to develop skills. And we can discuss those skills on Mondays. And if we get into a good rhythm, I'm sure we're going to find a lot of benefit from both. So, 9 a.m. Central Time. This is, I believe, Central Standard Time in the United States. On Friday, I will be live again, and I will be reading an excerpt from Tiana Lobo's Love Freshly Brewed. And we'll probably chat a little bit about the contemporary romance market and what books you were enjoying or not enjoying. And then we'll go from there. I should know on Friday what book I'll be reading for the following Friday. So you enjoy your writing and your productive distraction, Rachel. And I'll talk to you a little bit later, Jason. It's good to have you guys visit. And I will see you on Friday.